Welcome back to another episode of Plan Voodoo. Today, I'll be talking about Australian Survivor Heroes vs. Villains Episode 1 recap. Now, the idea of this episode is for me just to give my favorite moments of the episode, be it probably around 5 moments from each episode. Now, it doesn't have to be a good moment, could be a bad moment. Let's get to it. At number 5, for moment of the episode, it has to be Rogue, the person on the Heroes tribe. Man, the name fits to say the least. Surprised based on just what we got in that short 30 seconds that she was cast as a hero, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Quite the wild card. At number 4, it has to be the intro. Yes, I'm talking about the intro for old school Survivor that we all know, showing every single name. Big fan of it. This whole intro, we got to kind of see the returnees, see the new players, and get to know them a bit before even they were in the first reward challenge. So that was pretty neat. I enjoyed it. It was very cinematic, theatrical. Yeah, very very enjoyable. We even saw Jordy where he was referencing how people called him the Joker, and he was kind of dancing on step of stairs like we see done in the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. So I made sure to peep that out and to make note of it when that happened. But then yeah, man. I think next what I want to talk about is Michael at number 3. He is on the villains tribe, and man, boy oh boy, he's also just playing his game. He's playing hard, real talk. Like what's cracking? Went searching for an idol, was caught by Jordy, although Michaels doesn't know that. Pretty much touching up with everybody, saying we're good, we're good, we're good. Trying to take out George to no avail this episode, as you've seen. Although we're not unsure if George will return at this point in time. Which brings me into my number 2 moment of the episode. Actually, there's still a few things I want to talk about. Number 2 moment of the episode. I guess everything kind of parlays into each other from here on out. So, at the beginning, the reward challenge, loved it. Never seen a reward challenge like that before, where all the supplies are kind of just there, and you have to lift the supplies up in the air onto 2 different platforms. Yeah, and on top of that, you're allowed to wrestle the opposing tribe for items such as fishing gear. It's wild. You only see it in Australian Survivor. US Survivor won't give you that. Loved it. Hats off to it for that. I was kind of surprised to see that there was no advantage found during this reward, but I don't know what happens. We've seen it in the past for Australian Survivor where they put the advantage there, and in US Survivor, just not this time around. At least it wasn't found. And then parlaying that convo into the immunity challenge, it was a mess. I usually laud and praise Australian Survivor for being creative and for the challenges being physical. However, this challenge was set up for failure right off the get-go. When we see Jackie and George both leap onto the spinning cubes, and essentially they fall like face first, shoulder first into the mud pit, which is not ideal. That kind of challenge, I guess you want to land spinning forward, so on your back. I'm not sure what happened on the design of the challenge, but inherently it led to a few injuries, which is unfortunate. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's a few things I want to note for my number one moment. So I'll leave that be for now. But we did see two injuries sustained. At least we saw Jackie get hurt, and then we saw George also get hurt. Heroes won immunity, and this leads me into my number one moment of the episode, which is that neither Jackie nor George attended tribal council. Yes, that they are permitted 24 hours after sustaining such injuries to be assessed by the doctors, and then return from the game from there if they're deemed deemed fit by the professional, the medical experts. So yeah, two people were missing. That leaves 10 at tribal. Kind of made it an obvious Angeli vote, which she ended up going. But during that time frame, we see Jonathan ask the contestants. He pretty much lets them know at the beginning of tribal that both George and Jackie are still being evaluated, and that they would know soon whether or not they'd be fit to continue. And then, pretty much after the votes had been casted, we see Jonathan reveal that Jackie broke her collarbone and she will be removed from the game. Thankfully, she's seeking medical attention to help deal with that injury. It's unfortunate. You hate to see it. Additionally, we see George. He, as far as we know, he might return. I think he does return based on all the promos we've seen leading up to the season of Australian Survivor Heroes vs. Villains. Why would we see promos with him and Haley opposite sides if he was just to be pulled by Medivac first episode? And I highly doubt it, but I'd be shocked. Who knows? It could change in the next episode. Yeah, essentially, knowing that information, Jonathan poses to the remaining villains whether or not they would like to reveal said vote or just head back to camp. And only one that seemed quite reluctant was Shawnee from revealing the vote, which is I get. She has quite the target on her back, but it ended up being a unanimous decision amongst the villains to reveal the vote, do with what it says, and Angeli is now the first castaway gone, a new player at that. So those are my favorite moments of the episode of what happened. A few other things that I want to mention, what to look forward to moving forward in the next episode and the coming episodes for the rest of the season. We saw that Shawnee, specifically, she had a confessional where she said she wants George to be in the game. George is a shield in her mind. And if he's not there, who's the next biggest target? It's her. So it'll be interesting to see if George does return to the game due to his injury, whether or not Shawnee, I guess, works her magic to keep George around as a metaphorical shield. So we'll see about that. Stevie, on the other hand, is probably not going to be part of that plan because he still wants Shawnee out after she blindsided him the first time they both played on Champions and Contenders. I don't see Stevie's game lasting long like it did the first time around, so I'll just leave it at that. I think he's going to be one of the next few out on the Villains tribe. Yeah, I don't see his game being that long. And then, additionally, I just want to mention that we saw a tribe of villains in which, if George was there, it seemed like he was probably going to be the one to go, which is a returning player. Now, that would have made it injuries aside, I should say, that would have made it 5 to 6 amongst the tribe for returning players to new players, giving the new players the advantage. Where it currently sits now is 5-5 due to Jackie's removal from the game due to injury. I'd be interested to see how that dynamic plays out. Typically, in the past, we see new players kind of get decimated by the returning players. The returning players just steamroll them, as we've seen in U.S. Survivor with like a fans versus favorites one, fans versus favorites two, a blood versus water season. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the dynamics play out because now there are 22 players left and only 10 returning players. So the new players have the advantage currently. Can they retain it? Will they retain it? We'll see. We'll find out. And lastly, I guess I do want to mention this because all my talk has pretty much been on the villains tribe. That's what we got this episode. Heroes tribe. Haley made a good point. I didn't think about it. She said that every time a winner has returned on, at least on Australian Survivor, the first tribal council they went to, they were the first one to go. And yeah, that did happen during All Stars, where the two winners that returned, first tribals they went to, they were gone. And I could see a scenario where that could happen with Haley, being it that Heroes tribe only has 5 returning players and 7 new players. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. Next episode looks fun. Big challenge going on. Yeah, those are my thoughts on what happened for Australian Survivor Heroes vs. Villains episode 1 recap. I want comment down below if you enjoyed the episode. We want to hear from you guys. Yeah, appreciate it. This is Planet Voodoo, where a split vote is not safe.